The British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, now says the UK will recognize a Palestinian state in September unless Israel agrees to a ceasefire in Gaza and commits to a long-term peace process that includes a two-state solution.
Our goal remains a safe and secure Israel alongside a viable and sovereign Palestinian state. But right now, that goal is under pressure like never before. I've always said that we will recognise a Palestinian state as a contribution to a proper peace process at the moment of maximum impact for the two-state solution. With that solution now under threat, this is the moment to act. So today, as part of this process towards peace, I can confirm the UK will recognise the State of Palestine by the United Nations General Assembly in September, unless the Israeli government takes substantive steps to end the appalling situation in Gaza.
Let's get across to our correspondent in London, Birgit. Maass. Birgit, does this announcement from Prime Minister Starmer come as a surprise to you?
Well, it's certainly a change of direction. Only last week, the Prime Minister had said, the government had said that they would only recognize a Palestinian state as part of a peace process. But the pressure had been mounting. Over 200 members of parliament, many from Keir Starmer's own Labour Party, had written to him and urged him to do the recognition of the Palestinian state. Obviously, also allies like France have said that they were going to do it. And even members of Keir Starmer's own cabinet's been reported that more and more of them have been coming round to wanting to do that. I think interesting, possibly in that context, is also the meeting with President Trump. They met at President Trump's golf course, and while there was a longer interaction, let's call it, with the press, President Trump has said he wouldn't take a position on the recognition of the Palestinian state, but that he wouldn't mind if Keir Starmer did, and possibly that could be significant as well.
And Starmer has linked this recognition of a Palestinian state to conditions. Does that suggest that he sees a chance that Israel could actually meet them, or does it seem more like a symbolic move?
I am not sure if it's seen as more than a symbolic move. So Keir Starmer has said that it's mainly to do with wanting to change the humanitarian situation on the ground. He said in his statement that that situation is getting worse every day, and that was, in a way, the primary or one of the main motivations to do that. But he also, and by the way, the Downing Street has also said that UK aid had been airdropped today. But also, he said that the possibility of a Palestinian state feels further away and is really reducing by the day. So wanting to put this pressure on the Israeli government to do something and to show a peaceful way forward.
And do you think there will be significant reaction to this announcement in the UK?
I mean, there will be those that will say that this will basically benefit Hamas, that it will, in effect, reward them. But I think largely the reaction will be positive. I think quite interesting, the respected foreign affairs think tank, the director, Bronwyn Maddox, she argued actually just today that Britain should recognize Palestine. And she said that would basically play into the hands of the moderate people within Palestine to show them that there is a secure and peaceful way forward, and that it wouldn't really benefit Hamas, because she argues that they don't really want that and they have always opposed the peace process.
Thank you so much for bringing us up to speed there. That is Birgit Maass in London. And I'd like to talk about this more and welcome H.A. Hellyer, who is a specialist on Middle East affairs and international security, joining us today from London. So to start things off, how much pressure do you think this move will actually put on Israel?
Thank you for having me. So I don't think that the pressure here on Israel from the United Kingdom is really what is going to make a change in terms of Israel's war of devastation on Gaza. I think that the pressure that needs to happen in order to have Israel change actual policies on the ground come from really the United States, a lesser extent from Germany as one of the major suppliers of arms to this government. In terms of the UK, the Israelis have already responded. They've made it very clear that they're very unhappy about this, making ridiculous claims like this rewards Hamas, which I think is extraordinary. The UK, I have to say, is not recognizing the state of Palestine. It's made clear its intention to do so, but in a way that allows the Israelis to actually veto it. If the Israelis were to meet certain criteria between now and September, then, as the Prime Minister pointed out, recognition would not take place. Recognition of the state of Palestine is not conditional on acts by the Israelis. It should be simply a recognition of the UK's upholding of international law and recognizing the right to self-determination of the Palestinian people.
So why, if I may just jump in there, why would the UK give them this either-or option rather than just going ahead and recognizing a Palestinian state? Does it tell us something about what the political preferences are of the UK?
I think it tells us that there's a fudge going on here. You've had over the last couple of weeks incredible pressure within the UK on the government because of the horrific and repugnant images that we've seen on our TV screens of children starving, of being subjected to famine. And these are not mistakes or accidents. These are direct results of policies that the Israeli government have imposed. So there's been a lot of anger in this regard. And I think that the Prime Minister is responding to that anger by trying to provide some sort of symbolic move either now or in the future. Of course, none of this is sufficient. Even if the UK were to recognize a Palestinian state, it would not be sufficient to say that the UK has fulfilled its obligations under international law. The International Court of Justice has made it clear in its provisional measures that the UK and other states are obliged to prevent genocide from taking place in Gaza. Recognizing a state of Palestine does not actually end the occupation. It does not stop the war. All it does is it fulfills one duty that I think the UK has, and a duty that, by the way, the overwhelming majority of the world's nations and a majority of European nations, I should add, has already gone ahead and done, the recognition of the state of Palestine.
Now, if the UK does go ahead with the move to recognize Palestine, as you've said, it won't actually potentially change anything on the ground for Gazans who are there. But could it lead the way for other countries to do the same and to seriously consider Palestinian statehood?
I'm sure it would. But again, I don't think that that's remotely sufficient. The population, the Palestinian population in Gaza, in the West Bank and East Jerusalem are all under occupation. Recognizing a state of Palestine, which would be established in those territories, without taking steps to ensure that the occupation of those territories comes to an end, I think is a critical step, but a deeply insufficient one. And I think that that's the real point here. You have what two Israeli organizations said yesterday was genocide taking place in Gaza. You have annexation in all but name taking place on the West Bank. And actually, there was a vote in the Knesset, a non-binding vote, but a vote nonetheless in the Israeli parliament just a few days ago about annexation of the West Bank. You have all of these things going on for the past not just 2 years, but going further back, especially when it comes to the building of settlements in the West Bank. You need actions to show the Israeli government that there are costs to these types of moves in order for the Israelis to recognize that there is not impunity for such direct contravention of international law. And if they don't see that there are costs, then they will continue in this fashion, and then we'll be left with recognizing a state of Palestine, but actually no territory of that state having the slightest bit of chance of being sovereign.
Well, thank you very much for joining us on DW with that analysis. We've been speaking with H.A. Hellyer.
Thank you.